I titled today's conversation mind map, The Magnetic Effect of Not Trying to Be Magnetic. The magnetic effect of not trying to be magnetic. This is also in relation to what we've been discussing. You do not need to try to be in a high vibration. You do not need to try to be at a high frequency. You do not need to do anything in order to be. As a matter of fact, you could do nothing to be. That is because you are already all that you desire to be. You already have all that you desire. You are that. What the thinker in mind thinks it is not, which is illusory. That thinker is not real. It is what is referred to in the Bible as the old man, who does not know who he is. Thus, being magnetic or magnetic being is the result, the natural result of knowing who you are. So, we can say then, personal magnetism is the natural result or the appearances of personal magnetism. If we say this individual is a magnetic person, this individual is a magnetic being, what we're pointing to is that they're revealing something. Now, if the individual judges by appearances, they may say, I need to do what this person is doing in order to be magnetic. I need to think the way that they think, act the way that they act, behave the way that this person behaves in order to be magnetic. Although we can say those things can be helpful, what is being pointed to is beyond the thoughts, beyond the behaviors, beyond the person. What is being pointed to is reality, which is already perfect as it is now, and the individual who we say is magnetic, knowing that reality is perfect as it is now, does not need, want, wait, crave. They acknowledge that they are all they desire to be. By not trying to acknowledge, they know that they are. The silence reveals the truth. See, the other individual might be trying to figure out what to do in order to be. That is because they don't know who they are, so they look outwardly for signs. What matters is knowing who you are. The still I am presence that is ever present, as it was in the beginning, now, and ever shall be. As identification is released to the individual that thinks they are separate from being. The natural result is personal magnetism. Practically speaking, it plays out as, let's say you're having a conversation with someone. The conversation flows. You need nothing from them. There is no need to control them. You accept yourself the way you are now, for you know that reality is perfect as it is now. And as you are reality, you are perfect as you are now. As they are reality, they are perfect as they are now. Thus, there being no I versus you, they versus me, us versus them, it is known that only God alone exists. And only God alone plays all roles perfectly. And we may point to individuals who live this way and say they are magnetic. So, personal magnetism is the result of knowing that you are already all that you desire to be. You already have what you desire. And knowing that you are already all that you desire to be, and that you already have what you desire thus, there is no wanting, needing, waiting. Ephesians 5:1 says, "Be therefore imitators of God as beloved children." Be therefore imitators of God as beloved children. Now, the way to know and be is stated in Exodus 3:14. I am that I am. Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. So the way to imitate God is to be as I am. Or simply put, the way is to be. The eternal peace, the eternal love, the eternal happiness, the eternal bliss, the eternal fulfillment. As you know who you are, the eternal love, the eternal happiness, the eternal peace, the eternal bliss, the eternal fulfillment, there is no wanting, needing, waiting, craving. And thus it manifests as the appearance of personal magnetism. The thinker in mind may say, what do I know? I don't know this, I don't know that. I don't speak about this I. I speak of the being I am. As mentioned, I stop trying to be magnetic. I stop trying to be in the high vibration or the high frequency. Because you know certainly as you abide as that still I am presence, you are already that. We could say you are already that magnetic being. You are already that high vibration. You are already that high frequency, or whatever way the thinker in mind intellectualizes it or categorizes it. So the way to be is to know who you are. Know who you are as you abide in that still I am presence. And here's the fascinating thing about personal magnetism. It happens. Body flows. What you say, what you don't say, what you do, what you don't do flows. Everything happens spontaneously, naturally, and it's your style. We can say, visibly, it looks different than another person's style. That's perfect, because only God alone ultimately exists and animates all, appearing as their style, your style, my style. So the way to know who you are, the way to manifest personal magnetism, is to abide as that still I am presence. It's as simple as that. The thinker in mind, who thinks in terms of complexity and confusion, may think it cannot be that simple. Being is simple. As you abide as that still I am presence, the thinker, the one who imagined wanting, needing, waiting, and craving, is acknowledged to not exist, does not exist. Or we could say the thinker who thinks in terms of wanting, needing, waiting, craving, dissolves. And as I am aware of this thinker dissolving, then I know that I am beyond this illusory thinker, which again, in the Bible, is referred to as the old man. So then it is clearly known that the thinker of the illusory thoughts is also illusory. Because why do I need to think I need to do this or that in order to be? Why do I need to try to be magnetic? If you know who you are, you don't try to be who you are. In the silence of being, it is acknowledged you could do nothing to be. You already are. Or another way of saying it is, you already are all that you desired to be. You already have all that you desire to have. This is why at times I say, desire means having. Or desire points to fulfillment. I am fulfilled. You are fulfilled. We are fulfilled. And knowing that we are fulfilled as we abide as that still I am presence, there is no thinker in mind that suggests that you need, you want, you wait, you crave for some appearance to be a particular way before you can have the happiness, the peace, the bliss, the fulfillment, the love. We can say God's love is unconditional. The peace of God is unconditional. The love of God is unconditional, and that is true. You don't need this or that in order to be. So, knowing that you are, acknowledging that still I am presence was everything that I desired. How do you know? As you abide as that still I am presence, what permeates the mind? What permeates the body? We can say, the feeling of love, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of peace, the feeling of bliss. Thus I know that I am fulfilled. I am fulfilled. So you can do nothing to be. Now this might not sound practical to the thinker in mind. What do you mean? I can do nothing to be. I thought I need to do this or that in order to be. You see how illusory that is? To think that you need to do this or that in order to be. As mentioned, you need to do this in order to be magnetic. You need to do that in order to be in the high vibration. You need to do this or that in order to be in the highest frequency. You are already that. You do nothing to be. So what happens then? Well, everything happens spontaneously. Everything happens spontaneously to be in harmony. So we can point to an individual that is allowing themselves to be, we could say, or is purely being, as someone who is not swayed by appearances, magnetic. Opportunities flow to them. Everywhere they appear to be easeful, in flow. Everything appears to be in harmony with them. They're not affected by what a person says, what a person does, what they do not say, etc., because they want, need, and crave nothing. And so the way to be is to observe without identifying. The way to know who you are is to know that you transcend these thoughts that appear in mind, and then they disappear. Thus, they cannot be you, because you are aware of these thoughts. Then, what about the emotions? The emotions do not define you either. They arise and they subside, yet you remain the same. What about the physical body? Well, the physical body may move here, move there, do this, do that, yet you remain the same. You remain the same, and what we could say happened yesterday, today, tomorrow, you remain as you are, perfectly still as you are now. What about the appearances of this world? The people, the environment, the circumstance, the information. It appears to flow. Today I appear to be here, tomorrow I appear to be there. Today I observe this video, tomorrow I observe this other videos. What remains the same is you. The thinker in mind may say, okay, because of this relationship that I have, or because of the money in the bank account, or because of this or that appearances, because I think this way or that way, that is why I can be magnetic. Because of these appearances of these thoughts, these emotions, these environments, these people, these circumstances, conditions. No shame, no condemnation. Observe without identifying that you transcend these conditions. That is you being as you are. And as you remain as you are, observing without identifying with. Observing without identifying with. Not identifying. No identification. The result of that is what the individual was trying to be. The result of that is personal magnetism. The result of that is all these things that the individual once desired to have, to be spontaneously and naturally added onto them by doing nothing. They're not trying to change something. They're not trying to control. Observe without identifying. Or we could say, do nothing. Do nothing. Do nothing is not a concept. Literally, you are all that you desire to be. You can do nothing to acknowledge the fact that you have and are all that you desire to be. Or we could say, release the need to do anything. Now we're saying, dissolve that thinker who thinks they need to release, need to do this, need to do that. That thinker is not real. As you know, you are beyond that thinker of the illusory thoughts that suggest you need to do this, you need to do that in order to have. Both those thoughts and that thinker which again in the Bible is referred to as the old man, dissolves. Now, the person in mind might ask, what's in it for me? What are the practical benefits of doing nothing to be? Well, the practical benefit is the personal magnetism is the result. Yet we can be even more nuanced and say, we're not doing nothing in order to be magnetic. You do nothing to be as you are, and you don't concern yourself about the effects of being. You don't concern yourself about these appearances. You don't look to this world and say, where is it? I tried doing nothing for a day or an hour, but I went and checked to see if magnetism manifested more from my high vibration or my high frequency or my magnetic being. Where is it? I don't do nothing for that reason. I do nothing to be. And what appears is what appears, perfectly as it does, which we can point to and say, oh, personal magnetism, high vibration, high frequency, confidence, charisma, flow. All these are pointer words that point to being. Natural being as you are, perfect as you are now. So if I say release the need to do anything, point number 2, that could sound illusory. Because who is releasing the need to do anything? In order to be, in order to get, etc.? That's what I mean by do nothing. As I say sometimes, the greatest teachings are found in the silence. Number 3, let appearances appear and disappear. Let appearances appear and disappear. Or we could say, let it be. Let the world be. Let the thoughts be. Let the emotions be. Let the people be. The environment, the circumstance, the information be. But not trying to be or do something in order to get or in order to be. Everything happens spontaneously. We can say the result of that is the appearance of personal magnetism or attractiveness or charisma or being in flow. Those are the results. Flow is the result of being. Personal magnetism is the result of being. And as you know now that you can do nothing to abide as that still I am presence, the thinker who imagined that wanting, needing, waiting, craving is doing something dissolves because there is no need. There is no waiting. There is no craving. There is no wanting. As you abide as that still I am presence, you know certainly. And this is not new to you. You know what I'm talking about here. So essentially, we're returning to original simplicity. You that transcends all these thoughts, these emotions, transcends the thinker that thought that I need to do this or that in order to be. I need this or that technique in order to be. And while we may find those things helpful, that thinker may form an identity around those techniques, those appearances, and suggest I need them to be. I cannot be without them. What we're talking about here is you are already that. And this is not me trying to convince you. You can realize that you are already that as you abide as that still I am presence. And you see clearly that those thoughts and the thinker of those illusory thoughts that suggest lack, limitation, not being love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, not being who you desire to be, having what you desire, dissolves. And what is experienced is complete fulfillment, complete happiness, complete love, complete bliss, complete peace, the everlasting love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment that is not based on condition. I don't need to convince myself to access that peace. I do not need to do anything to access that peace. As a matter of fact, I could do nothing to access that peace. You can do nothing to access that peace. We can call that the direct path or no path. No path. Do nothing can also be referred to as no path. As articulated in the Bible, I am the way. We can say that is the direct path or no path. I am the way. Abide as you are, as that still I am presence. That is it. That is all. It may be hard to believe for the thinker in mind that it could be that simple. Yet you could dissolve those thoughts and that thinker in mind who thinks those thoughts by abiding as that still I am presence. Because in the moment it is undeniable that you are already all that you desire to be, that you have all that you desire. And you notice that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, all those things that the individual desired to experience permeate the mind, permeate the body with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. By not trying to be, not faking to be, not pretending to be, you are. That is all. You are. I am. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Truth, consciousness, bliss. Thus you note reality as it is now, as it was in the beginning, and ever shall be, perfect as it is now. And so the results of that we can point to and say, well, that's personal magnetism. And as mentioned, the individual did not look around to see what other people are doing and copy their body language, what they say, what they don't say, etc. They did none of that. They did nothing actually. They did nothing to be in flow. They did nothing to be magnetic. It happens spontaneously for no reason. Beyond reason, they are. And so what are the benefits? Let's say again, if we were to look at benefits, what do I get out of it? Well, what I have witnessed, and again, not to form a bias around this, but yet this happens. What I have witnessed is conversations flow, relationships flow. In dating, let's say you are interested in starting a conversation with someone, you walk over and start a conversation without resistance. If they give you their phone number, great. If they don't give you their phone number, great. It is totally fine. It doesn't change the fact that you are already that which you desire to be. You don't want, need, wait, or crave, and at times I've seen it, and again, not to throw a bias into it, it turns out they want to give you the phone number all of a sudden. In relationships reconcile. Because you know that you are that unconditional love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And so they manifest naturally. Friendships, business relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, they naturally manifest by not trying to be magnetic. Yet, we can point to the participants and say they're quite magnetic. They're quite attractive. They're quite this or that, pointing to the truth. And this is why I say don't form an identity around the appearances, because the individual may think it's because they did this and did that, and they said this and they said that. And although those things may be helpful, they're still conditional. Because let's say the person then does that thing, doesn't do that thing, etc. and it doesn't work, they may think that they're doing something wrong. They may shame and condemn themselves. What is being proposed here is to not identify. Observe without identifying. That is everything that you were looking for. That still I am presence, from which naturally what arises is your way. I'm not sure if you got a copy of my recent book that I released. In there I mentioned, although it's a book on entrepreneurship, we can also relate it over to personal magnetism, because prospecting, lead generation, client acquisition, ongoing business with existing clients, harmonious relationships in business, within your business, and also the various people involved with your business happens as you remain as you are. And so in the book I said, your way is the best way. Your way is the best way. So personally, I recommend to be magnetic is to do nothing to be magnetic. Rather, acknowledge that you are magnetic. By any time there is a need, want, craving, acknowledge that it's illusory as you abide as that still I am presence. And those thoughts, the wanting, the needing, the craving, dissolves, including the illusory thinker, which is referred to as the old man in the Bible, which is not real. How do you know the old man is not real? If you are aware of this construct, this identity construct in mind that is wanting, needing, craving, then you are certainly not the old man. And thus the old man appears to disappear. And what manifests is that divine presence into form, which we can point to and call personal magnetism. So again, Ephesians 5:1 states, "Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children." And Exodus 3:14 points to the way. I am the way. As stated, I am that I am. Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. The way to imitate God is to be as I am. Be as I am, or simply put, the way is to be. Be for no reason, not because you need this or that external condition to appear, not because of this or that emotion, not because of this or that thought. That still I am presence still remains still. We can say it that way. Still remains still as perfect love, perfect happiness, perfect peace, perfect bliss, perfect fulfillment, which we can say the individual or the thinker in mind was looking outwardly through the needing, wanting, waiting, craving in order for conditions to be met. Or they thought they need to do this thing or that thing inwardly, outwardly. As a matter of fact, you can do nothing. That is the direct path, as we've been saying, or no path. In the silence, there is no thinker that thinks otherwise. In the silence, there is no wanting, needing, craving, waiting. Abiding as you are in the silence, everything spontaneously happens. Being still as you are, everything spontaneously happens, which we can point to and say personal magnetism. So the individual then is no longer needing for conditions, appearances, things, thoughts, inner, outer things, whatever, this and that. Does not do these things. The individual does nothing in order to be. And it happens. And even as I say these things, even as I communicate these things, the wisdom of the silent teachings is infinite. Know from the greatest teacher yourself. Abide as that still I am presence. And you'll know clearly that there is nothing in this world greater than that wisdom of God. The love, the happiness, the peace, the bliss, the fulfillment of God. There's nothing greater in this world than the fulfillment of God. And having been completely fulfilled, and knowing that you are completely fulfilled, it naturally plays out as personal magnetism. Naturally plays out as personal magnetism. So, while you could do this and that in order to be magnetic, You're at the point right now where you could do nothing to be magnetic because you know who you are. Once you know who you are, everything happens. Everything happens, we could say, perfectly for you without needing to look outwardly to see if it's happening perfectly. We're not judging by appearances. There is no need to judge by appearances. It's gone. And what manifests is personal magnetism, or the appearance of personal magnetism, or whatever way you'd like to define it. As mentioned, we can come up with concepts, we can come up with theories, and they might be helpful. Yet, at a particular point, those are surrendered as well. The needing to do this to be magnetic, that to be magnetic, surrendered. The needing to do this or that to be high vibration, surrendered. The needing to do this or that in order to be high frequency, surrendered. Maybe what was once helpful, yet at times it doesn't seem to be always helpful. What is the most helpful and always helpful is found in that still I am presence. It's undeniable, everlasting love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. It is undeniable wisdom, the wisdom of the silence, the wisdom of that still I am presence. So, of course, it makes perfect sense why in Exodus 3:14 it says, "Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you." It's pointing to the way. I am the way. That's it. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further acknowledge. You could say, I know that I am, and knowing that I am is all that I desire. Thus I am desireless being as I am. Being desireless as I am, everything happens spontaneously. People, environments, information appears spontaneously to be in harmony. Everything appears to be in harmony, as ultimately, in heaven on earth now, only God is known to exist. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.